second line replaced the regular procession of spikes and dips. The heart had used up its oxygen supply and was fibrillating, dying along with the other organs, the organism, the man. David waited to feel something, satisfaction, relief, horror, guilt. But he felt nothing. He had just murdered the man who'd become a father figure to him, as his own was consumed by Alzheimer's disease. He had intentionally inflicted pain on a man he had once admired and respected, and the only thing he felt was indifference. He was now dead inside. The ordeal of the last 5 weeks had stripped him of his humanity. From up in the sky, the sound of a chopper coming closer, hovering. From down on the street, cars pulling up, screeching to a stop, doors opening and closing. Through the dirty windows, lights flashing on the building facade across the street. David grabbed his coat and walked toward the freight elevator, passing through burned orange swatches of early morning sunlight that had penetrated the grime on the glass and filled the second floor of the warehouse. He exited the elevator and crossed to the middle of the ground floor where 10 days earlier he had discovered a drainage trough covered by steel plates, laid end to end. He lifted the plate covering the drain outflow and lowered himself into the hole. The opening was barely large enough to admit a thin man, and he couldn't feel the bottom. He pointed his toe and kicked around for something other than empty space. A massive boom erupted from the metal door on the front of the building, no more than 40 feet away. His feet found concrete. He was able to stand. Another boom echoed through the warehouse. He bent his knees slightly and slid the plate over the opening. A third boom. The door slammed into the wall. Boots scuffled overhead. "NYPD!" rang out repeatedly. David tried to crouch deeper into the pipe, but there wasn't room to fully bend his knees, so he braced his back against the wall and slid down to his butt, keeping his legs straight out in front of him as they extended into the horizontal aspect of the pipe. What sounded like an army of cops thrashed around above, presumably checking every nook and cranny of the warehouse. He needed to get moving before one of them thought to check the drain, but he had no way to turn around, no way to swap head for feet. Using his heels and hands, he inched deeper into the drain until he cleared the bend and lay flat on his back. Should someone remove the plate and look into the hole, they'd be unable to see him, but he took no comfort in this. The top of the pipe was 10 inches from his nose. He'd moved from low light into near darkness, and he had little room to move his arms or bend his legs. The sense of constriction was unnerving and quickly edging toward full-blown panic. He wiggled and writhed, twisting himself from supine to prone position, and started working his way down the tube, moving feet first and dragging his coat behind him. Every inch gained cost him a layer of skin off his elbows and knees. The short-sleeved scrub shirt and thin cotton scrub pants offered no protection against the rough concrete. Pain radiated from the 11-day-old gunshot wound in his right thigh. He could not lift his butt to get on his knees or raise his head to relieve the strain in his neck. All he could do was shift from side to side, elbow to elbow, toe to toe. Before long he was enveloped by absolute darkness and silence. He closed his eyes to hide the blackness and stopped trying to lift his head and butt, so as not to remind himself that he was confined to a space no larger than a coffin, but it didn't help. His heart was racing, his breathing shallow and erratic. The air was becoming increasingly dank, making it harder to fill his lungs. He stopped, folded his arms under his chest, and rested his forehead on his fists, took deep breaths and tried to relax, but he couldn't. His heart kept pounding. His lungs demanded more oxygen. He had to get out of the pipe. He tried to visualize the distance from the center of the warehouse.